Alright, well, welcome to Disintegrator Films tutorial series. This is going to be a fun one. What we're going to do is create a robot in the middle of an evening scene with some mountains. So first thing that you're going to need is Element 3D. So before we get started, if you don't have it installed already, you need to go down to videocopilot.net and purchase Element 3D. I definitely recommend it. It is the best way to get importing 3D models into After Effects, animated or not. It's an amazing plugin. Highly recommend videocopilot.net for all of your video needs. The other thing that we're going to need is to go to Mixamo.com. Now, it is necessary for you to utilize your Adobe CC license in order to use Mixamo. So, yeah, if you don't already have a license for Adobe CC, what are you waiting for? Just go get that. I think I pay about $30 a month. I got it on special. Usually have those once or twice a year. Definitely do that. Gives you access to Mixamo. You have a lot of fun with 3D. Yeah, so the next thing, let's see, in Mixamo, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and select a character. Now for this particular example, what I have done is I got a character called the Y-Bot, and now with the Y-Bot selected, I just came over here and typed look around. And as you can see here, we've got this animation highlighted, and in the preview pane, as you can see here, you're witnessing the animation. So it's a great website. It'll rig the character, it will animate the character for all of these mocap animations, and here in the preview pane you can just kind of turn that around, get a good feel for what's going on. He's looking at his hands, his feet, maybe even his butt. So over here on the side you can see these sliders. They adjust different various animation components. We won't be messing with any of those today. So the next thing you need to do is go to Google and search for Blender. If you don't have it installed, definitely get it installed. High-powered 3D program. Definitely go grab that. You're going to need that for this tutorial. The next thing you're going to want to do is click on Download. Now, when you click on Download, you're going to see this pop-up box. What you're going to want to do is go to Format and then choose collada.dae. Okay. So that's going to be a format that Blender can use very easily. I'm going to go ahead and leave the skin on 30 frames per second, no keyframe reduction, and go ahead and download that. Alright, looks like it's done. And as you can see, it's titled Look Around. What you want to do is you want to navigate to the directory where you're keeping all of the media for this project, and then just go ahead and click Save. Alright, I definitely recommend exploring Mixamo. You can choose whatever animation you want to do for this project, but I just chose this one. Then you're going to want to navigate over to that and unzip it. So back to the directory where you downloaded it, and then unzip it to the same directory. Now we're done with Mixamo for today. Alright, now let's go ahead and pop on over to Blender. Now what you want to do is go to File and Import. And as you can see, Collada default.dae there. Alright, since we downloaded a Collada file. Now we'll go to the same directory where we saved it, and we will find the .dae file. Click that, and over on the right hand side it says Import Collada. Just go ahead and click on that. Excellent. So now as you can see, what we're looking at is our character in a T-pose. Now I am not the greatest at using Blender. I'll be the first to admit that, but I have found this really cool workflow for being able to utilize Mixamo. Anyway, when you move the slider on the timeline in Blender, it immediately assumes the poses from the animation. And as you can see, all the way through the timeline, we are dealing with an animated character now. Now, what we want to do is we want to go to the very end of the animation, figure out which the last keyframe is. In this case, it looks like it is 153. So then just go to where it says end, follow my mouse, type 153, click away, and now you've cut that animation to only include the animated frames. Go up to File, Export, and now you're looking for wavefront.obj. Go ahead and click that. Again, navigate to the directory where you are saving all of these files. What you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to create a new folder, or else this is going to get messy real fast. So click on New Folder, and go ahead and name that OBJ Robot. Okay, now double click on that, and now you're saving all of these frames to that directory instead of just willy-nilly all through the other directories. So very important when you're saving or exporting an OBJ that you pay attention to this box here. Now click on animation, very important. Otherwise what you're doing is you're exporting a still frame. Now it'll still be a 3D model, but it'll just be unanimated. You want to keep the animation, you click on that box. Super simple. Alright, now you just go over here to click Export OBJ. Now this process can take a minute depending on your system. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward until when this is complete. Alright, so it looks like this is complete. Now we're going to go ahead and minimize Blender, and we're going to pop on over to Pexels. Now the download link for this particular image that we'll be using will be in the description box below. But again, Pexels I find is a great resource for finding awesome stock photography, and you can use it for whatever purpose you like. So this link will be in the description box below. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is pop on over to After Effects, and we're going to click on the project pane here, and we are going to right click, and we want to import file. Alright, so now again navigate to the directory where you're saving all of this stuff. We're going to import the astronomy-dolomites-evening file, which, if you're paying attention, is a different name than what they told us it was, but that's okay. For this particular composition, we're going to be working with a square aspect ratio, and that's going to be 2000 by 2000. So this will be for Instagram. Just click on Create New Composition pane down there in the project window, and we're going to name this Insta Robot. Okay, and I've created myself a preset called Insta Square, which all it does is change the width and the height in pixels to 2000 by 2000. You can change that manually, save your own preset if you do this a lot. Not necessary, you can just do this manually, but I like the little presets. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is adjust the duration of this animation. And the duration that I think we should stick with for now at least is 15 seconds. Alright. And just go ahead and click on OK. Now we've got a 15-second square composition. As you can see, it is a square, which is the preferred size and shape for Instagram. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to right click on the composition window here, and we are going to create new solid. Alright, now I like to choose a color that stands way out. That way I don't get this layer confused with any of the other layers that I'm working with, and this green color seems to work well for me. So just go ahead and click OK, and we're going to rename this Element. Alright, excellent. Now we've got a square, the correct size of the composition, and it is green. Let's get rid of the green. Right click on the element layer and navigate to Effect, Video CoPilot, element. Alright, so now element has been applied to that layer and we no longer see the green. Go ahead and run up here and click Scene Setup. And the user interface for Element 3D is now open. If you've never played with this program, there are some great tutorials, but just follow along step by step and we're good. Click on File, Import. Instead of 3D Object, do 3D Sequence. Now, again, navigate to the directory where you've saved all of this cool stuff. Alright, an OBJ robot is the file set that we saved from Blender. Now the difference between an OBJ object and sequence is when you choose sequence instead, it will take all of the files that are numerically sequenced within a folder. And this happens to be 30 frames per second, and it's about a 5-second animation, so yeah, 153 frames. And you don't have to highlight them all, just that first one, and click Open. We're going to go ahead and let it load the actual material that it saved with, but it's not necessary. You just click OK, and make sure you got the physical shader on there. Alright, so click OK. Alright, excellent. Now, where's our model? Oh, crap. No. So, a lot of times with Element 3D, you've got an issue with size. So, if you can't see your model at first, it could be one of two things. Either the size is messed up or it just hasn't loaded yet. Give it a second. If you still don't see it, go up here to where your OBJ sequence clearly is. It's called Untitled 000001, 153 frames. Highlight that. Scroll down to the transform options, and you'll find this normalize size checkbox. This thing is super handy, because if you don't see your model, chances are it's just way too small in the composition. So just click that and boom, we've got our model. Now I'm noticing something already that I don't like, just not used to it. So what I'm going to do is change it. So what you see is that the plane is smack dab through the crotch of the model. I don't like it. So what we're going to do is we are going to move over to the transform options in alignment, and we're going to change that to bottom. And now you can see it looks like he's standing on the plane. Went from model center to bottom. Ah, yes. Much, much better. Alright, so the next thing that we can do here is just preview the animation of your OBJ sequence. And what you want to do is go to the start frame under baked animation, and you can just move that to the right. And as you can see within the Element 3D interface, you can see the animation being previewed for you. Another option that you have, just make sure you reset that to 1 when you're through. But another option that you have is the frame offset, and this is for if you just want to use part of the animation or start on a particular part of the animation and have it reset itself. But the idea is that this will loop infinitely for as long as your composition is, unless you change it. Make sure that that goes back to 0 when you're done playing with it. Alright, so the next thing that I think we should do is check out these textures that have been applied to the 2 different layers that are on the Element 3D model that we've created here. The first one is going to be this joints texture, and as you can see, if we highlight this and then we go over here to this, just zoom in, and if we highlight this and we just unclick that box, you can see yeah, we've got kind of a noodle man, just a skeleton, nothing connecting. Let's turn that back on, and the other way around, we've got the body matte instead of the joints. Get rid of that, and now we've got meatball man. Alright, so turn that back on. What we want to do here is we want to change the textures. We want to change the textures. Let's go and check this out ICOM _ Mirrormech _ Shaders. If you do a Google search, you can find this amazing shader pack. I can't remember the name of the artist at the moment, but I will link to this shader pack in the description as well. Do yourself a favor, install this. This is an awesome shader pack. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab Mirrormech 10 on the ICOM Mirrormech, and we are going to replace the joints of this model with the Mirrormech. And right away, check that out. Look at the detail and the difference. So that's going to give us cogs, wheels, machinery, wires, the whole 9 yards, all in one shot. Yeah, I really like this. But it looks a little bit off center. What I want to do is line up that middle portion. So let's just move that over to right about there. Alright, so that is negative 0.04. And all we have to do is go through each one of these materials and change that so that they all line up correctly. Oh, right. Yeah, I messed this up here. Negative 0.4. Ah, there's the problem. Alright, so negative 0.4. Very important, line all those up. And now, as you can see, it's got a little bit more symmetry. You got those gears on the shoulders looking like they're in the same place on both sides. I just love this texture pack. How amazing. One shot, one kill. Good to go. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is click on the Alpha Body Mat and go to Pro Shaders 2, which comes as another product from videocopilot.net. I'd caution on using a very, very shiny chrome material. I like to use stuff that's like a brushed metal, just because it reduces on the reflection. Just makes it look a little more real. So we're going to go ahead and use this clean metal clean texture, drop it on there, and yeah, look at this. So if you just click draft textures, that'll clean this up even more, so you can zoom in and get a real good look at what it is we've created here. Yeah, so that looks pretty awesome. Let's just get a look at this previewed animation again real quick. So where we had no animation before, yeah, now we've got this really cool animated robot looking thing. Okay, so yeah, really loving this. We'll replace this environment later on, but we'll get to that here. Alright, let me just turn that off. Okay, so the next thing is we want to click OK on the Element 3D user interface, and boom, now we've got a robot. And if you just drag the timeline here, oh, oh, let's go to quarter on the timeline and quarter on the preview. But I think I'm going to have to turn off adaptive resolution too, because that's just messing things up. Yeah, let's turn that off, go to final quality. Alright, now you can see if we just slide the slider across the timeline, we've got this really cool animated robot just kind of floating in black space there. Okay, so now that we've got him in place, there we go. Let's just poke that eye out, go back to the project window, and now we're going to go ahead and grab our astronomy-dolomites-evening layer and drop that into the composition panel. So as you can see, we've got the mountains, we've got the sky in the background. Just go ahead and square that up. Remember to give yourself plenty of room for the robot that will be in the picture. If you click on full for the preview and zoom in, you've got great quality here. This is amazing. I love Pexels. they really do put together some quality stock photos. But the idea is that we're going to cut out the sky and the mountains and create two layers. So one will be on top of the robot, one will be behind the robot. The sky and the mountains here. So the next thing that we're going to do is click on the astronomy-dolomites-evening, and we're going to click Control D to duplicate it. So Control D, there we go, and let's go ahead and poke out this eye so that we're only looking at one copy of this. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is double click it to open it in the layer window. Now when we double click that, next thing we want to do is go to the pen tool or press G on your keyboard and come in here and very neatly create yourself a mask. What you're going to want to do is you want to separate the sky from the mountains. Now this can take a while. I think I will just go ahead and fast forward until this mask is created. Alright, so the mask is created. Excellent. So now as you can see on this layer panel, we've got a transparent background, so no sky, and yeah, we've got the mountain. Now I didn't do the whole mountain in every last detail because we're only going to use part of it. We're kind of zoomed in on it, so yeah, you can definitely see that. Alright, so now let's put that eyeball back on the bottom layer, and it shows us the sky again, as you can see. So basically we've got two layers. We've got three layers. We're going to take the element layer and put it in between the two copies of the sky and the mountain. Turn on both, and as you can see, the masked mountain now occludes the robot model. So let's go ahead and click on the element 3D layer and click on effects controls up on the top here and go to group 1, because by default the robot has been saved in group 1 in the scene setup window. And let's go to particle look, and in particle look we're going to find the size. Let's go ahead and bump that bad boy up. Ah yes, giant robot, my favorite. Looks about right. Okay, and then let's go to the Y position and let's scoot him down just a little bit. Now this is all personal taste. Just get that squared away just where it looks pretty cool. Alright, so this is starting to come together. Now we can see obviously that we've got the mountain range in front of the robot and the sky behind the robot, which is exactly what we were going for. Let's go ahead and preview that. Alright, excellent. Now we can definitely see that we've got our animation imported and it is properly occluded by the mountains in the foreground with the sky in the background. Excellent. So this is starting to come together very nicely. Alright, so let's jump back into the scene setup, and we can tell just by looking at that the reflection on our robot does not necessarily match the environment in which he is living. So that is going to need to change. And in order to do that, let's go ahead and jump into Element 3D Scene Setup one more time. Now sometimes these models can take a minute to reload back into the UI. So depending on your system, we just click on Environment, and as you can see, it by default it takes us to these awesome video CoPilot environments. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace the environment map with the photo that we're using for the composite. And that's the Astronomy Dolomites Evening. Just go ahead and open that up. Alright, now as you can see, this has been added as the environment. If you unclick Draft Textures, this matches way better. Alright, but I do see a problem. I see that line of the horizon is in the wrong place. So let's go and line this guy back up, and Let's just adjust the Y setting of the offset, just to try to kind of get the reflection into the spot that makes us happy. Again, this is all personal taste, but we want the reflection to be coming up from under onto the face and onto the body. Not quite at the head level. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, so just go down here and click on OK. Now, one other thing that I notice is this line. Do you see that line? And since this is not an equirectangular map that we're using, it comes together in a weird way. It doesn't blend. So what we need to do is jump back into the, if you just notice, you can see the line in the reflection right there on his forehead. See it? Alright, so we're going to fix that. Click on environment, and we just need to offset that to one side or the other to get rid of that. And there we go. Alright, so click OK. If you just turn that around, it's no longer in his field of view, it's over here to the side, which is going to bother us a whole lot less. Alright, so click on OK to close up the user interface. And as you can see clearly now, he blends much better into the surroundings. The colors all match. Alright, so the one thing that we do notice is that the sun or the moon or the light in this picture now doesn't really match the color of the dusk or the sunset. So to fix that, what we're going to do is we are going to go to render settings and then lighting. Just go ahead and go to the drop down on lighting, and we will just add some lighting. You can experiment here to see what looks best, but I found that the sunset seems to match the colors pretty well. The only thing here is that it's coming from the wrong direction. So to fix that, we're going to adjust the Y rotation of the lighting. So we want it to match this horizon, and we're seeing that the sun seems to be coming from this area and leaving shadows in the background. So if you look at the model, the sun's on the left, but really we want the sun in our imagination. It's over here on the right, casting shadows in that direction. Let's just go to the Y setting and change the placement of the setting sun to about there. Now that looks just about right. So the color matches, the lighting direction matches, and we're good to go. Perfect. And as you can see, the reflection, it just looks a whole lot more organic this way. So now one of the things that you can do to really sell the image as a composite is to adjust all of it with color correction. So in order to apply a level of color correction, we are going to just right click on the composition panel and create new adjustment layer. Just right click on the composition panel and click new adjustment layer. Now that's going to affect all the layers underneath the layer. So right click on that and navigate to Effect, Color Correction, Lumetri Color. Alright, excellent. Now this is to taste, okay, so you choose whatever that you want. I like kind of a washed out look, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Creative, and on the drop down I'm going to choose this particular setting here, this Kodak setting, because it gives me the washed out. But if you zoom in and look at the detail, now you're actually getting some great reflection, the detail, the colors match, and in my opinion, this is just about a finished product. We'll go ahead and RAM preview this. Alright, so now what we've got is a perfectly looping sort of animation. What's bothering me about this is that the composition is too long. So remember, it was 153 frames. That equals just over 5 seconds of animation. So what I suggest you do is you move your slider until you reset to the very beginning of the animation. As you can see, his head is square looking at us. So that's going to indicate the beginning of the animation. Make sure that the last frame and the first frame are the same. And then once you get your timeline marker back to the end there, just press N on your keyboard. What that's going to do is set your work area. And just right click on the gray box and click Trim to Work Area. Now, we RAM previewed this. You have a perfectly looping infinite animation where he's just going to keep looking at himself unto infinity. Great thing about Instagram is that it will loop your animations forever. And so no one will be able to see the start or the finish of this animation. They'll just see the moving robot. And look at those glorious reflections coming off his face mask of the mountain in front of him. Just looks great. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is click on the composition window and then click Composition, Add to Adobe Media Encoder. What that's going to do is it's going to open Adobe Media Encoder down here. Now this process can take a while because it uses the Adobe Creative or the Adobe Link. There is a faster way of doing this, but so this can take just a minute for this to load. Alright, and you can see it hasn't populated quite yet, so the faster way of doing this is to just go to the project panel, find the composition that you want to find the composition, go to the project window, find the composition that you want to render, Insta Robot in this case, and just drag that over to the Adobe Media Encoder queue and see how quickly that populates. If we don't need to, let's erase that first one that we did. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is click on this H.264 or whatever setting it says there. And you want to make sure that you're doing this in the right format. Look at the difference here. You've got the letterboxing on the sides. To avoid that, we just go ahead and go to Match Source. And so then that'll keep the correct aspect ratio. And that is a preferred aspect ratio for Instagram, the square. But if you choose one of these other ones, what you're going to end up with is this nasty letterboxing on the side, which is cool. It'll give you a 1080 by 1920. You can crop that in Instagram, but let's avoid that whole thing altogether. And just export what we need in the 2000 by 2000 range here. So go ahead and click on Render at Maximum Depth. So the next thing you want to adjust is this target bitrate. That looks good. Don't have any audio in this animation, so the keyframe distance is not that important. It's only 153 frames. Yeah, click on Use Maximum Render Quality, and you want to rename this and make sure you're saving it to the directory where you want to have it saved. In my case, I want it back with the OBJ robot. Let's rename this just Insta Robot and click Save. Alright, all looks good. Just go ahead and take a look. Only 6 megabytes for this animation. Click OK, and the next thing you do is start the queue right here. Click on that, and look, this is only going to take 30 seconds or so. Okay, so now that the render is complete, let's just go ahead and click on the output file right up here, and that'll take us to our directory where it's installed or where it's saved. Let's go ahead and double click that and preview our animation and check that out. Sun's in the right place, the reflections look good. Amazing. Alright, so that is finished. Something else you could have done, and if you want to play with it later on, is the shadows. You can add some shadows. You'd want to add additional lights for that. But you could also play with the ambient occlusion. If you enable the ambient occlusion and bump this up, as you can see, the joints and where those vertices meet and stuff on your model, it increases the shading in between there, and it just sort of helps sell the realism that this thing exists in the real world. More interactive with lighting and stuff, so I definitely recommend playing with that, although that will probably increase the amount of time it takes you to render your final project. Anyway, so this has been a Disintegrator Films tutorial, and I'd like to thank you for sticking around. please go ahead and check out the Facebook page and the YouTube page and the Instagram page. If you see any animations on there that you'd like to see a tutorial for, or any effects, please just let me know in the comments below or send me a DM. I'd be happy to make those for you guys, and we can all get in on this crazy stuff. So once again, my name's Chris. I'm with Disintegrator Films, and thanks for tuning in. Drop a like on this video. Thanks.